I don't get humbucker guitars. It's really hard for me. I grew up playing Strats. And I'm going to do a video on humbuckers, especially like a Les Paul, like a 2 humbucker guitar, because I just don't get them, man. It just, I don't know how to get the tones that I'm normally like associate with guitars, like a Stratocaster or a Telecaster, right? And I don't know how to properly set up the signal chain, the EQ, like everything that I want. Like I can recognize that this is a good tone. And then the scale length is different, so the tension on the strings is different. But it's so much darker. It overdrives an amp a lot quicker. And I saw this guy play this. I saw a guy play a great solo the other day over the Boogie, that Michael Jackson song, and it's inspired me. So I'm gonna start using. I want to try to get this year, by the end of 2025, I want to be like, yes, I know how to play a guitar with humbuckers. I know how to sound good with it. Sean, welcome, brother. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Tone Town. I think you're first of the crew. Adayan, welcome. So there are things that I love about a humbucker, where there's that like meatiness that. Steve, I should do it because I do have the. And the one thing I've noticed about Gift You a Guitar, oh, I can't do that. And if you listen to anyone on the internet, Adyayan, it's that tone is all in the fingers, apparently. And so you just got to get any guitar because it's all in the fingers. I'm being facetious. Sorry if that sarcasm is lost. Otto, welcome back, brother. Hi, let's play a song, sir. Okay. I will say, let's talk about down picking, though. Because I feel like that's one, for those of you that just joined, I'm trying to figure out humbuckers. This whole year, I'm going to dedicate to getting good at specifically this guitar. Because I think if I did like an ES335 style guitar, that's like not as big of a jump. Like this is, I think, as far as you can get from a Strat or a Tele. Like everything about it feels different. The tones are different. The obviously tension is different, and the approach should be different. And so I'm really gonna try to get better at this guitar. Gift you a simple guitar? No, I'm unfortunately you gotta buy your own. A simple guitar, like an acoustic guitar. Yeah. Play Terminator. So interesting thing too, like the Terminator theme song. I'm sure you guys know this was like one of the first electronic pieces of music that was put into a movie, and James Cameron worked with the guy. He's like, "Hey man, like, can you get this going?" And it's I can't figure it out. The time signature to the original Terminator 1 soundtrack is so crazy. I think it's like 1718, a bar of 1718 and then a bar of 44 or 1818. Go listen to it if you can. It like blows my mind. Cigarettes After Sex Apocalypse. I don't know that song. Sounds pretty good. Karaoke time. I know. Hysteria. I can play Hysteria. A lot of these songs I don't really. It is interesting. Oh, Don't Let Me Down. Right. I just covered that the other day. So the interesting thing about. We'll move on from Terminator because I don't know that song, but I love that soundtrack. The Terminator soundtrack is really good. Beatles' Don't Let Me Down is a 2-5-1, you know? Don't let me down. And then you can go down to like a minor 6. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. I never know that. Now they usually only go to like to 2 to 1, but you can add a 5 in there. It doesn't destroy the song. Yes, she does. The way you explain it, I'm learning to play this song a whole different way. So, like, another cool thing I've noticed. So, if you're on a 2, and I only figured this out recently by accident. So, let's say you're on a 2 of the song. So, the song's in A, you're in the B minor. If you do a. So, you would go from. Right, it's B minor. So you're going to like the 5 of the 2, which is really the majors. It's a major F7, right? An altered F sharp 7. But if you just go like between those 2, it's a nice little transition to go out of a 2, because sometimes you get like bored on a 2. You're like, well, get me out of this. You don't really know what to do because it's not quite a 4, and you know you're just going to go to a 5 eventually. But you can add. You had a rant video? Wait, Steve, what did you rant about? um, and then and like I am not good at jazz guitar, but I like know kind of like where it's supposed to go. But pretty much like if you can figure out like how a 2-5-1, a major and a minor 2-5-1 can work for you, like you're like in a good spot. Look, everyone, it's a homosexual. Why are you watching me? That's what's so funny too, is like guys will come in like super hot. It's like this guy's staying off the grid, and I'm assuming he's joking. But like, it's not that funny of a joke. Like with more, you gotta set up a joke like that if you're gonna go for the especially in a chat. Yeah, so give me the follow-up staying off the grid. Unless you're just trying to get my attention, in which case you do have my attention. Oh, so I have a quick rant. I was going to do a video about guitar stores closing. So the reason I see a lot of videos about this too, talking about guitar stores closing. And I'm going to tell you my experience. Every guitar shop I've gone to has hated me as a customer. Doesn't matter how much money I've spent there, they've treated me like absolute dirt. Up and to including recently in Nashville, 2 stores I've gone to where I've bought guitars full price, and then I've said, "Hey, would you ever want me to do free videos for you?" And they say no. No to free videos. I'm like, "Hey, I do this kind of thing. Love to partner with a local shop too. I normally work with larger brands like Sweetwater, but I'd love to promote local shops because I think that's important." And they say no. And then they go out of business. And I'm like, it's like, I think a lot of these guys that run guitar shops, like they're absolutely clueless on how to run a business. And like, it's so confusing to me. I'm like, in what world would you reject a free, like they don't have to do anything. I'm like, just let me borrow a piece of gear. I'll bring it back like a week later. I'll point all the links to you and I'll give you reels that you can put on your channel. And they say no. Like, some of these guys are absolute morons. And then after me spending like, close to $3,000 on their merchandise, like it absolutely boggles the mind on these. And this has happened, obviously I wasn't doing YouTube like 10 years ago when I was or 15 years ago when I was touring. But these guys, they were so unhappy when I would buy stuff from them and they'd be in a pissy mood. So like to me, I'm like, how, like Sweetwater doesn't just have the power, but they're the only store ever that has called me to say, "Hey, even though, yes, it's a follow-up sales call, how'd that guitar work out for you? Is everything okay with it?" And I did have a problem with an amp once, and they were like, "Well, let us know, we'll take care of it, no problem, whatever you need. We'll take care of it. Not, you have to prove to us it's working wrong. We'll take care of it." And if there's any lucky to work on shaping culture for these streams, yeah, Sean. I feel bad. You guys probably have way too much work on these vertical streams. Once it gets to the horizontal streams, Tom and I we're trying out a new one on. We're not going to go live, but we're testing the technology for the first time next week. And if it goes well, we're gonna have a whole separate channel, and the work that you guys have to do will be a lot less, because the vertical streams are just absolutely insane. You thrive on the negativity. Me too, apparently. I keep subjecting myself to the abuse. But like, I've never been to a guitar shop and have felt that they wanted my business. It's like they begrudgingly sold me a guitar. Like the only time I have good relationships is when I work with vendors directly, like Quilter, right, John? Or like, D'Angelico or Origin Effects. Like I've never been to a retail shop in the US where they're just like happy to hang and like talk shop. Never. It reminds me of like every coffee shop in the United States. I order like an Americano and they roll their eyes. I'm like, it's espresso and water. I'm not asking you to like create a new element back there. And there's something about retail culture in the US. And I worked in retail for a long time. And like I was on like the people that worked at the shop, I was in charge of the creative direction. I would scream at them for like, you cannot talk to a customer like that. You have to get them excited. You have to get them interested. Right, Jerry, you're absolutely right. Sweetwater they have the technology behind them, they have the staff behind them, and they have a culture of please the customer in any way possible, which is what you need now. Yeah, Steve, if I would be surprised. So obviously, like Sweetwater sold for, what was it, 2 billion to private equity, not for 100% stake. But I'd be really surprised if part of their expansion wasn't to expand into the UK or Europe at large, right? Like they could take on all those other companies. Just they just need a distributor. I don't know what the laws are, but they just need a good distributor out there and work out the distribution rights, and it would be great for everyone. And candy, yeah. Although I'd love for them to improve some of the candy selection. If they could get Starbursts in there, we'd be in a good spot. But there's only so much mellow yellow a grown man can eat, you know. So, and this is where, again, this is a long-term goal of mine. A long-term goal of mine is to have, obviously, I'll have a Super Danger studio where bands can come in and record and shoot video content and get stuff done. But then have a front-facing store for customers, for brands that would like have like set up shop for like a month, and they would have a thing, and then they could buy it right there, right? Um, Master of Puppets. I think I know Master of Puppets. I'll do this one. What? That's what it is? Right? Is that what it is? And I got to work on my downstroke. Again, I'm not a metal guy. Isn't it weird that like almost everyone requests hard rock? Like no one requests like anything like not hard. Like no one's requesting like Dave Matthews Band, but like no one requests like Grateful Dead or even like Buddy Guy, or like no one requests like Chuck Berry. Isn't that kind of crazy? I'm sure mods you've noticed that where it's like, is it like it's like Metallica or Muse? I know they have like big international audiences, and I'm assuming that's where it's going from. And I'm assuming like a lot of it actually is India, like the shorts live feed, the vertical lives. There's a lot of traffic from India, and I know Metallica is massive in India, and Muse is as well. Very interesting. Yeah, it's like but it's not like hard metal. It's not like they're saying like, hey, play Slayer or Black Dahlia Murder or like Meshuggah or like Decapitated. Like all this, like they're not like, they don't want like the hardcore stuff. They just want like Metallica, or they don't even ask for Megadeth, which I think is very interesting. There's only one band for these guys. It's Metallica. And like, again, like I don't want to upset people, but like I just think there's a lot more metal bands, or I guess Metallica's thrash. There's a lot more metal bands that I prefer to Metallica. You know, like no one even asked for Van Halen. Isn't that interesting? What's Metallica's popularity on Spotify? How many streams do they have? They have 27 million streams. What rank are they? They're 186 in the world. 29 million followers and 27 million monthly listeners. And their number one is in Brazil. Brazil, Chile, Mexico City, Sydney, and then Colombia, Bogota, Colombia. Like top 5 is not even in the US. They were on Stranger Things. I didn't know that. I haven't watched Stranger Things. Sweden, welcome. This is a PRS SC245. This is the lawsuit guitar. So this is the guitar that they put out, and they got sued by Gibson in 2007. So they had to stop making it for a couple of years. Do I like slam metal? Not familiar with it. Any gigs? No gigs coming up yet, Sean. I got our first practice is coming up in the next couple of weeks. We got to figure it out, but we're having our first practice, so it's looking like late spring will be our first gig. And we got a massive set list that obese and candy are not allowed to more candy by law. LOL. Limp Bizkit. My favorite guitar song. I mean, I don't have a favorite, but I will say, like, I like old rock and roll the most. So there's something about like playing a lot of notes on a humbucker guitar that like, it's almost like if you're playing with any kind of overdrive or distortion, you really only should play a couple strings. Like, the NF3, NF3 is really cool. I haven't played it, but my buddy sent me a video of him playing it at the showroom here in Nashville. And it's a really cool guitar. So I'm the worst person to ask and say, hey, don't buy it. I'm like, you should buy it. Like everyone who tells me, should I buy this? I say, yes, buy it. Buy the new guitar. Right? Yeah, so for YouTube Shorts, which I think are incredible, but D, C sharp, D only with thirds. Play E minor, D, C sharp minor, C, E minor, D, C sharp. That. Is that what you're talking about? Played only with thirds? Am I doing it right? But Sean, for shorts, you know, it's really. Obviously I remix videos, which I think is really good. But then the other thing is uploading shorts. I only upload a short on my phone, unless I want to turn off like notifications on the post. Because sometimes I'll post something that a lot of you guys have probably seen before, but it hasn't hit a new audience. So I would turn off notify subscribers. But in terms of shorts, like you really like cannot post enough shorts. Like you can just post them nonstop, and no one will get sick of them. It's pretty like YouTube's pretty good about serving it to the right people for a short. Now the problem is that when you get people who like your shorts, those people usually aren't the same people that like your long form videos, or at least in most people's cases. Figure out uploading a short on your phone. Yeah, hit me up in DMs. I'll help you get through it. But basically, you know, if you have the video has to be, well, yeah, we'll talk about it in DMs. How much did I buy? This is the most expensive guitar I ever bought. So it's a PRS core model, so you can probably do the math. But it's the most expensive guitar I've ever bought. And it was when I was, I wasn't married, I didn't have a mortgage, I was just working, and I lived in this tiny little apartment, and this was before the 2008 financial crisis, so I was bartending, I was playing guitar at Popeyes, and I was also a delivery driver, so I had people were paying cash and everything, I had tons of cash on me, relatively, and I would only eat, wouldn't have to pay for food because I worked at a restaurant, so all my meals were at the restaurant, and things were so cheap. This is before Obamacare too, so like insurance was like 10, 15 bucks a month for a guy like me. So it was a really crazy time back then. So I had a lot of extra cash sitting around. You really want to record and upload solos, but it's kind of difficult. Yes, it is. Yeah, syncing everything can be really frustrating and have good video quality. The number one thing for video quality is lighting. So you gotta have a decent light. And even if you know, this is an $80 light. This is an RB9 from Waylight. And if you have it on, like this. Like it's that should be good. But if you just want it to be a solo, you just got to make sure that your hands are lit well or the guitar is lit well. And usually you have it above, so it points down. That's what makes it look kind of cool and kind of dramatic, which people like. And if you do that, you're good to go. It'll just take some time. Run, run, Rudolph. All right, that's I can accommodate that. Oh, is that? No, that's Johnny Be Good. It's pretty much the same thing, though, right? What is it? Right? Run, run, Rudolph. Santa's gotta make it to town. Tell him he can hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. Run, run, Rudolph, swinging like a merry-go-round. It's pretty much the same song. That's a great track, though. Your dad always said Chuck was one trick pony, but the trick was so good no one cared. Yeah, I mean, he was the first, right? The first rock and roller, and he had just great presence on stage. Played that guitar like it owed him money, man. He just played the hell out of that thing, Hello, Will. Is that my favorite guitar? No, my favorite guitar is my Telecaster. I just love my Telecaster, and I love it so much that it's made me like dislike all my other guitars. And they're not bad guitars; they're good guitars. But it's like Roll Over Beethoven, right? Yeah, it's like all boogie woogie kind of works the same, man. And it's all boogie. Like the original rock and roll, that roll is what's there, right? I think who said it, where it's like the rock comes from the 2 and the 4, the snare, but the roll comes from like the hi-hat, which I think is I can't remember who said that, or even if I'm getting it right, but that's like a fun way to think about it. Could you tackle your opinion on wanting attention on stage and how to control it? Won't ruin the song. Yeah, I can talk a lot about that. I can talk a lot about that. I mean, like on stage, and I haven't been on stage in 6 months now, but like I haven't been on stage regularly. The last time I toured was like 5 years ago. And it's important to understand what your role in the show is, because the one takeaway that people have from a show is, can I hear the vocals and can I understand the words? So that's the first one. Can I hear the vocals? So if you're a bassist, you're a drummer, you're a guitarist, make sure you're not louder than the vocals. And usually that's up to the sound guy, but you play a part in that by your stage volume. But let's say there's a solo. The biggest problem with most guitar solos, and my guitar solos, everyone's who's not killing it all the time, the biggest problem is usually you're trying to play too much. So play less. And if you play less, the listener, like no one in the crowd is a musician. Like 99% of the time, none of them are musicians, unless you're playing in Nashville, in which case everyone's a musician. But if you're playing outside of Nashville, no one is a musician. And so you just got to make sure you're playing the song. And usually you should just play the melody, and it should be a short solo, right? Because people don't sing the solo, they sing the chorus. So just get them to the chorus. Really, you're just giving the singer a break, right? You give the singer time to drink some water, time to towel off their face, whatever it is. You got to, Thunderstruck? Yeah, I'll do Thunderstruck right on. You've always had the opposite issue. I never wanted to be the front man, lead guy. Yes, it's a delicate act being like the front man. And so you gotta, if you don't want to be the front man to it, if you don't want to be the lead guitarist, it's great. But the pressure then is like really you got to be solid, right? Because you got to give some leeway to the front man because they're feeding off the energy from the crowd. They're kind of seeing like what the crowd is enjoying, and so there's usually like a little bit of leeway for like, oh, it's okay if they missed a note here and there, or they kind of are like wavery here and there because they're also in commune with the crowd, which is why the rhythm section has to nail it. You got to nail it all the time. So it's a lot of pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure on the rhythm section. What is it? I'm not in the right setting for this. Here, hold on. You've been thunderstruck, thunderstruck, yeah, thunderstruck. That's such a cool song, right? What is it? I was shaking. I mean, I can't believe how high he sings. Can I come again, please? That's such a fun song, dude. I'm so happy. I got to see him live, actually, at Wrigley Field in Chicago when I still lived there. God, what a great show that was. What are we going on here? Bonjour, Credence. Hold on. Band had to make me stand in the center. I was like, but I'll play some Credence and say, you're the front man. You do live looping with the guitar synth. Right on, man. Yeah, you just like, it's a really big production when you're in charge of it, you know. Use the UA Deluxe 55 in a live gig. I use actually the Iridium because I feel like it's very present and there's like no sag in it, which also, you know, it's not as real as you would want, but it is very direct. I've only played with it live like twice though. It's very, I don't have a lot of silent stage stuff. I'm not feeling nervous. The only way to get over nerves is actually just to play all the time. You just got to play and play and play. So it's impossible to get rid of stage fright. I mean, like, even when I was touring a ton, I would still just get a little bit nervous, which is good. Like, you do want that adrenaline. You want that excitement because you want to bring that energy on stage, right? And then usually, like, let's say we have a 30-minute set. Sometimes, like, when you're first starting, like the first 15 minutes, you're jittery and you can calm down by the last 15. But ideally, you work that down to, like, by the time the first chorus hits, you're not jittery anymore. Like, essentially, it's like you always, or at least I always, have that little bit of jolt of excitement because performing is such a fun thing. And the crowd can feel that. So you do kind of want that nervousness. But, you know, the only way to get through that and to build up essentially your endurance and your sensitivity to that adrenaline is by playing more and more and more. Just recently got a 59 Fender Bassman reissue. Oh, you lucky duck. I have played one. Yeah, it's great. It's insanely loud. But yeah, that's a great amp. It's insanely loud though. Nerves never really go away. Exactly, Steve. No, Steve's a pro. He gigs a ton. Was watching the Back in Black music video the other day. Always get a kick out of seeing Malcolm wrangling the best. Right? Yeah, huge Gretsch, and he's just like getting these awesome crunch tones. Right? Perfect crunch tones. I mean, like I think AC/DC probably is the most solid rock band of all time. You know, they make grooves that should be real snoozers, like really like a boring song. They make it so exciting, and they have and then second would be probably Van Halen, like some of the tightest grooves of all time for a rock band. Do I know any John Mayer? I do, but playing it on this kind of guitar is going to be interesting. Like, what does he do? Right? Or he does the other one. Do I hear Freebird every game? Yeah, right. You do hear it every. It's really funny how people still yell that out. I got half a smile, zero shame. Right, that was a great album. When Tom gets back next week, he can tell you all about meeting John Mayer. Yeah, yeah. Play Freebird and there it comes. Are Strats harder to play than Gibson? I would say Strats stay in tune better, but I mean, I learned on a Strat, so I feel like Strats are pretty beginner friendly. I feel like these are heavier. They are less forgiving when it comes to tone. Like you really can only play a Les Paul style guitar a certain way. And then people that can play it outside of that, it's just unbelievable to me. I love these guitars, but like I think a Strat and a Telecaster are so easy. They're such great learner guitars because there's not a ton of output on them on the humbuckers, so it's not gonna be really crazy when you're playing into a pedal or an amp, you know. How long did it take me to play lefty? Sorry, I just got to hear somebody already made that joke. Oh, is it reversed? Is that what's going on? And amps are never going to go away. Amps are always going to be there. It's going to be... Here's the reason that amps got... modelers took off and amps didn't take off. It's because Fender and Marshall had their heads up their butts for years. Their heads of product did not listen to the market at all. And they didn't innovate. They didn't try to make anything new. And, and you're seeing what's happening. Marshall sold to a Chinese holding firm, and Fender had a kind of a disastrous opening for their Tone Master board, their digital board. People do like their Tone Master amps, but their tube amps are not being used as much as they should, but only because Fender did not think like on how to innovate in the amp market. And so now you're having smaller amps. I mean, you're having smaller companies like Friedman. Like if people want a good Marshall amp, they can go to Friedman, they can go to Sir. If they want a great Fender amp, they can go to Tone King. There's some QA stuff here and there, but for the most of the time, Tone King is good. It's really just, it was their own fault. Like tube amps are great, and like these big companies, like, we're just not thinking. And and that's just what happens in any industry. When you're big, it's hard to maneuver quickly because the politics of getting things done inside your organization gets difficult. You're recently playing a Gibson 335, and a guy that worked at Guitar Center came over and asked what Gary Clark Jr. song I was. I told him it was an original. Oh, wow, that is a great La Cucaracha. I played that last time. You have loved tube amps and have owned, but rare person without opinion. I like the sound. I don't care if it's tube or not. Right. If I like it, I like it. I have a Boss Katana, actually. You can see it. Oh, you can't see it, but there's a Boss Katana right over there. I love the Boss Katana. It's a great amp. There's some limitations to it. What's L saying that's so funny here? You maniac. Polyphia. Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting how they construct the song. I bet you right? They just do like kind of like interesting. They have to take a really they'll take a progression like that and then they'll kind of like add it all together. Mod, what's going on, man? Long time. Tom we're gonna be switching the times to like an evening slot on Mondays, I think, and we're gonna do Tone Town, Good Morning Tone Town in the evenings, which I think is really funny. But Tom, his duties are precluded from this time slot, unfortunately. Listen to Too Late by Black Sabbath. Yeah, I mean, I love Black Sabbath. They're a great band. Let's see, who else? What I got? They're so pricey, I bought mine damaged and repaired it for cheap. Yeah, well, great. I mean, what's this? The Cocktail Collection series of guitars demonstrates exactly how much Fender is not thinking. I'm not sure what their product strategy is, and especially with like the new Player series and then the Standard series, like it seems like they're trying to play catch up on their overseas stuff, and they're gonna have to cannibalize their Squier classic vibe. Probably they're probably gonna have to cannibalize that market to a certain degree to get the Fender Standard stuff, and they might make Squier, because they have Squier Affinity, $200, Squier Classic Vibe between $400 and $500, Fender Standard, $600, right? That's $600. Fender Player, $900. American Standard, $1,000. I mean, like, that's so insanely for like a product line. It's so confusing. And then all the different variations they're in, and then the signature models, and custom shop, and then custom shop, mod shop, and then the relict. I mean, there's all sorts of little stuff that their fretboards are made of Ethernet cables. I haven't tried the Morning Glory, but I am going to try it. I'm going to do that this year. I'm going to do a fun Morning Glory. Steve. Strats to me have always been harder to play than a Les Paul. Yeah, they need a great setup, and it's Telly to me is a great, but Tellys aren't as comfortable. I like the smoothness of the Fender, the belly carve, which I always like. There's got to be a better term than belly carve, because it's like, are you saying I'm not fit? I'm not trim? Like a belly carve? That just might be my insecurities. See you, Gecko. Because, like, okay, so what I want to work on is getting these, like, a great lead tone. I got to get more comfortable with leads and bends. Whatever, right? I got to get better at those lead sounds. And then I get better at like strumming out. And you see how I'm playing it like it's a Strat? Like, those are all like Strat kind of things. And so I got to figure out how to play a Les Paul. It's just like, I don't get it. The globulous mass cutout. Globulous mass cutout. That's much better. See, that's much more sensitive to me. You love digital and tube. You have a Line 6 Spider. Yeah. 8x12 Marshall MG100. Wow. 212 Marshall MG 250, Marshall 2x10 MG 15 MS2 mini stack. Oh yeah, I know that one. And the reissue. Yeah, man, that's a great collection. I don't have, actually that's not true. Now I do have a lot of amps, but I didn't, like 3 years ago, I only had like 2 amps. Do you know what I mean though? Where it's like, it sounds like I'm trying to play a Fender, and there's, Sean saw the Quilter pedal demo, but I have their Cub UK, and then I also have I just got their Mark. What is that? The Mach amp. I'm sorry, I can't see it from here, but I'm gonna do a video on that eventually too, because that thing rips. Do you have to go to neck pickup for a Telecaster? Oh, a go-to neck pickup. I mean, like I only I had the 52 American neck pickup that I loved, but I use the Royal T from Lawler, and it sounds awesome. I love it because it's on a neck pickup on a Tele, since it's covered, and some people say it doesn't matter. It does matter. Having it covered, it does affect the high end. It does affect like between like 12K and 16K. There's that sparkle. And so if you have an open Telecaster pickup, like the Royal T, it sounds a lot more like a Strat. But it also depends on what you want. Some people like that covered sound. And I mean, I do too, but I love the Royal T because again, I grew up playing Strats. So it's like, to me, like that's the sound that I associate with the neck pickup. Hendrix. Yeah. I mean, Hendrix played that Vox, doesn't sound great on the LP, but it's all good. The great thing for Les Paul is overdrive it, let the open strings ring. Let things ring. I agree, Eddie. Hello. Wow, lots of new people here. I had such purchase paralysis with amps. I was looking at old Princetons. Yeah, they got ridiculous, I bet. Stumac Princeton. I am not good at like schematics. I'm not smart. And I'm not technically very adept. So making an amp, even making like a pedal, to me, I'm like, whoa, dude, like it's not. I'm not oriented that way. So if you are oriented and if you're like very organized and neat, I think making an amp is a great way to learn about amps. Everyone that I know that built their amp, they loved it. I don't have the acumen for that. I'm just like I'm not intelligent enough to do something like that. Yeah, and this is the nitro finish one. This came out great. They did a great. I mean, this is from 2007, 2006. So this is an older. This is before they were doing the McCarty 245. This is the SC 245. You can see there. This is 245. Reversed, of course. But this is the 5708 pickups in here, and I'm playing into the Woodrow Do you play boutique Stratocasters? I love them. I don't own them. Like my most boutique is a GNL, but that's like still Leo Fender, so it's not that big a deal. But I love Suhrs. I almost bought that Suhr antique S type. It was such a great guitar. All Suhrs are great. Why are you holding it like some French foreigner in a European movie? Holding the guitar like this? Like, well, how am I supposed to hold it? Like, are you using a quilter to go direct? No, right now I have the Woodrow right now. Because I was trying to get some tweed tones the other day, and I would just go direct into my preamp here instead of through my pedal board. And so I just was like, okay, the Woodrow's right. It was sitting on my desk for a photo I took the other day. So, you have Danny Liston from Mama's Pride come by and play. Oh, wow. Playing a band, full studio in the basement. Awesome. Play at Celebrate Recovery outside of St. Louis. It's a meeting for suffering with anything medical issues. Oh, right on, man. That's really good. That's good, man. It's good to give back. Some French foreigner in the European. Are you a lefty? No, it's just flipped. It's just a reversed guitar, or it's a reversed image. And I'm coming up on 53, so I'm gonna do just a couple more minutes here. Did I review the Lion? No, but that's coming up. I'm gonna do the Lion. That Lion sounds good, man. I mean, all the UA stuff sounds good, if you're into digital. But the Lion, I think the Lion is their best one, to be honest. I like it more than the Woodrow, more than the Dream. I think it's got a great super bass sound. I don't love the brown side of it, but I love the super bass. That's also just a taste thing. I'm not like a high gain guy anymore. I used to be, just not anymore. Not for nothing, but every time I see you, you're getting better and better. Oh, that's incredibly nice of you to say. I really wish I could practice more, but to know that it seems like I'm getting better, that's really nice to hear. Just made a refin on your Pure Silver Sky SE, Coral Pink. Oh, hey Nico, can you send me a photo of it? Just send it to me on Instagram. I'd love to see that. That's really cool. You gigged the Lion over the Dream for a Motown. Yeah, right. Doesn't it feels really good, like to play into the Lion. Like it's got a great. I mean, the clean sounds are good on it. I feel like it handles boosts and overdrives better. I don't know. Like the Lions are really good, and I don't see any videos on it. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna do one, and then I'll obviously do like 10 videos on it. Hello from Sweden. Hello, Astrid. Own to the amp with the UA. No, I go direct. I guess I haven't gigged a UAFX pedal, but when I did sound stage stuff, I was just going direct in front of house, and have it come out of the wedge. I didn't even have in-ears actually at that time. What kind of picks do you like? Right now I'm using the blue ones. I don't know, 1.0, 1 millimeter. So I like that for my humbuckers, but if I'm using my single coil, Tom got me one of the blue chip picks. He got me the TD as a gift. He's a nice guy, right? The blue chip 35, I love this on my Telecaster. I think there's different, like I used to read that in like Guitar Player magazine, like find out what pick works for the strings and the guitar you have. I'm like, what? That doesn't matter. It does matter. It matters actually, especially if you're playing a long set. The pick you have will matter a lot. And I didn't realize how much it affects tone. It really affects tone a lot. So you should buy one of those variety packs. And then if you really want to get dedicated, you can spend $40 on a blue chip pick, and then you can have like, that'll be like your studio pick. And then when you're playing out, obviously don't bring that thing. Oh, you want to hear the Hendrix chord? Yeah, sure. What kind of, yeah. There you go, Etoile, right? Is that French? Polish song? No, I do not. I'm sorry. It sounds. Is it a nice song? Is it one of your? Is it a national song? Otto, try the Dunlop Prime Tone. I haven't tried that yet. I haven't heard about that. Govin said that he feels bad for not giving away picks to his fans, but his picks cost him $30 each. Right. And so, like, if you're as good as him, and then you also are playing all the time, it's like you want like a guy as good as him can like eke out another 1% if he has a slightly better pick, Like I probably wouldn't have bought this on myself, but giving a blue chip pick to someone as a gift, like Tom did for me, that like really like makes me realize, like, okay, if I get better, I'm gonna get more of these. But for now, these blue ones will work, Okay, guys, that's it for me coming up on an hour. I really appreciate everyone stopping by. I really appreciate the questions. And I feel like everyone was a lot more polite here. So hats off to the mods. Steve, Sean, appreciate that. And all the longtime followers and the new followers, I appreciate you coming in. Hope you guys have a great weekend. The next 2 videos are pretty great. They go pretty far out into these themes that I've been trying to develop. So I'll see you guys out there on the internet. And if you have, band is going good, Eddie. We have our first practice coming up. So we're just kind of finalizing the set list. So I'm hopeful that we can get that together. It's just that I got to share these guys with, like, they're both playing probably like 50 hours a week. So I got to share them with like their full-time bands. So, and they're like very in demand in the studio stuff. So I got to be patient with that, but it's worth it to me for these guys. But I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for coming. And I can't wait to talk to you guys again. I'll see you around there. Stay safe out there on the internet, guys.